Welcome to another episode of the Players Ball Podcast for AT Aliens by AT Aliens. I'm your host, Alex the Great, and I'm joined by my brother from another MB. Um, man, I'm feeling a lot happier. You see my hat. I'm feeling a lot happier about football this week, man. We're gonna talk a lot about it. Before we do, though, I want to give a shout out to a friend, Mr. Paylong. Paylong via Dion. I heard this from Dion, but he found us out there in the wild, right? His algorithm picked us up for whatever reason. He said he's found a political clip. So I don't remember what it was, Paylong, but we're gonna talk about some sports right now. I know you're a big Hawks fan. That's where we're actually gonna start. We got traffic incoming, covering all the biggest news in ATL sports, no matter the lane, no matter the highway. Let's get into it with Spaghetti Junction. And there was news that came out of Atlanta today. Mr. Kobe Buffkin, who we talked about several times on this podcast, right? This was his year to prove that he belonged, and brother don't belong no more. So you told me this via text earlier that he was traded just for money to Brooklyn. Were you surprised by that?
I was, and so my immediate reaction, uh, beyond the player Kobe Buffkin, I think of things in terms of systems, right? Like that's kind of what I do with my career. We evaluate systems, and so like my immediate reaction was like, what does this like? What does this decision? How does this impact the whole system? And what I mean by that is, well, first of all, you and I had to look up, and we're still not entirely sold on who is now your backup point guard. But that wasn't even my immediate response. The immediate response was, well, what does this mean for Trey and Trey's future?
Mhm.
Because they played the same position. There could be an argument made prior to the move that if Trey, for whatever reason, is not in Atlanta come next the following season, he'll be here this next season, but the year after he's in a contract year. Um, Kobe Buffkin would be the heir apparent. So now you're basically saying there is no plan, there is no heir apparent, or you're signaling that you're 100% confident that you're going to get a deal done with Trey. I don't know.
I don't think Kobe Buffkin was ever going to be the heir apparent. Right? Maybe when they drafted him, they saw that he was a bigger point guard. It doesn't take a lot to be bigger than Trey, but um, and I think he was highly touted when he came out, but we haven't seen him play basketball right in the pros, and he's been a pro. I think this would have been his fifth year, his fourth or fifth year. So, nah, I don't think him being traded has any bearing on like the confidence level in Trey. Or let's say this: him sticking around wasn't a pin in the cap of Trey leaving. It, Trey leaving, we would have definitely had to replace him. Kobe Buffkin wouldn't have stepped in and filled those shoes. Wouldn't have came close.
I definitely see what you're saying, and I don't disagree. I guess where my mindset went is you gave a 15th round pick or a 15th overall pick to pick up Kobe Buffkin. He hasn't played a whole lot due to injuries. Similar situation we had for many years with DeAndre Hunter. Hunter was obviously drafted, in the lottery, so a higher value there, but still, like, you placed a pretty high value on the pick of Kobe Buffkin. Um, so I would have assumed at the time that you made that decision that he would be a viable backup and potentially starter caliber at some point in the future.
I agree. That's why you draft him where you draft him for sure. You wanted him to be a contributor on the team, but at this point, that's sunk cost. You ain't getting that back.
Well,
He
you got
he
something
hasn't
back.
done anything. I mean, some money.
Cash is cash.
Well, now we don't know who the backup point guard is. right? Is
Oh,
it Keaton Wallace? Is it Jalen Johnson's little brother? Like I don't know who the backup to Trey is now, and Trey does need a backup.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
that cash still spins.
yeah, but on who? Right?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know where we go. I do know we need a backup point guard. Um, I don't have a problem with it not being Kobe Buffkin though, because he's been unreliable. I think in my big age, I've gotten less patient with my sports teams, man, because I ain't gonna be around forever. Like I don't want to have to be looking down upon the Falcons or the Hawks to witness a championship, right? So my tolerance for unavailable players is probably at an all time low at this point.
Let's be real. When we meet the Lord, we will not be looking down on our sports teams.
You know what? Michael Penix, a bunch of Falcons players that, well, I think it was like two or three that gave post game interviews. They shouted out the big guy, right? So maybe, maybe we're a team of destiny, right?
Maybe.
Giving the Lord His due, that get us to the promised land here on earth. It won't get them into heaven. You got to do something else for that. But it was good to see. Bijan specifically said it. I remember that, and then Michael Penix. Right, they both started with that, which I thought was dope in dark times in a dark world.
Yeah. Without going too far down the rabbit hole, I did see a video where Ohio State's football program, some members of the football team, put together a worship event on campus, and they did like live baptisms and things of that nature. And I thought it was a really cool moment for a team that I tend to hate on as a Georgia fan. Uh,
Yeah,
so it was like one of those uh, situations where I could connect on some level with the enemy.
it reminds me of famous Jameis hitting that crossbar, man. If I hit this, we having Bible study. We gotta tag that clip, man. That's one of my favorite Jameis moments.
I've come to really appreciate Jameis Winston, and you asked me that
National treasure, man.
10 years ago, I would have had a much different perspective. But, anyways, from one hardwood to another, there was a big game that happened this weekend, and that was the Atlanta Dream hosting the Indiana Caitlin Clarks. And game one of the NBA WNBA playoffs, which I learned because I don't pay attention to WNBA sports. But it is a best of three for this
Mhm.
round, and they came out with the W.
They did. They did. So they're headed to Indiana tomorrow. Um, is being best of three is very crucial to win that first game. I went and watched all the highlights, like the 10-minute version, man. Invest some time in a W. But it was saying how I think she said 73% of game one winners in round one end up advancing, and that's huge. That's
Yeah.
3 out of 4, just about. So this should mean we make it into the second round of the playoffs. And there's no better time than now, right? So you mentioned that they are the Indiana Caitlin Clarks, but she's not playing. She was there,
Yeah.
rooting on her team, but she was in street clothes, like old street clothes usually is. So now it's better time than ever to try to go ahead and get up into a chip without her there, because I still think her takeover is inevitable.
Um, that game was Sunday, right?
Yeah, yesterday.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was trying to put the whole weekend together. Because I did actually turn the game on. We were on. We went and had lunch with my parents, my sister, and my brother-in-law. We were on our way home, and I'll uh, I'll put on like I got a stand for my phone, and I'll put on like live TV and just listen to it. And because the Falcons weren't playing, I did put that game on briefly, and then switched it to an NFL game. But at the time, the game was close, and it ended up being pretty big score differential. in
Yeah, I think they
favor
won by
of
12.
the dream. So
Yeah. Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard. Those are the two players that we talked about on here before. They both ended up with a dub, 20 points. They didn't shoot incredibly well, so to come out of there with a win, it just meant that their defense did what it was supposed to do. I hope they don't go to a game three so that I can try to get into a second round, playoff game. The environment looked lit. They said it was sold out, so I'm sure it'd be good. And watching the highlights, man, it did seem like an elevated version of W basketball, right? There weren't a whole lot of missed bunnies and ill advised, ill advised air balls. They were hooping.
yeah,
Especially Alicia Gray, she was hooping. I watched her. She hit a bunch of shots where I was like, okay, she's cooking.
when I turned it on, I think it had just finished halftime and we were down by like two. And she was headed to the free throw line. She hit both of her free throws to tie the score. And I don't think we ever like I think we took the lead after that, and I don't think we ever relinquished it from that point on. So, kudos to the Dream. I know this isn't their first time in the playoffs, but I do think there's a lot of aspirations and genuine, um, like there's reason to believe that they could win the championship this year with everything they did in the offseason and the way they played down the stretch in the regular season. So
I think they are the Bills of the W. Um,
they lost 3 straight years in a row.
they lost two straight, and four in or 3 and 4 years. They lost 2010 finals, the 2011 finals. I think that was to Maya Moore, and the 2013 finals to the Lynx again.
That's pretty.
So
That's pretty tough.
yeah, 2010, 2011, 2013. Fourth time's a charm, baby. This is our year. The dream is real.
Get that monkey off your back.
Hell yeah, let's do it. A chip for the city would be great, man. But it wasn't just them winning, right? We are currently in our spaghetti junction segment, people. We we didn't announce it, but that's where we are now. College football. So the state of Georgia has 6 D1 schools swept this weekend. Every school won their game. And there were some games that were played that had some very tough opponents and high stakes outcomes. So we'll finish with those, but we'll start with my alma mater, the Georgia State Panthers. They played their home opener. It was a sellout game. They had five. They were putting tickets on sale for $5. I thought about taking the kids down there, but I ended up having to do a bunch of stuff around the house, and then I went to Carlos's crib to that was another awesome thing from the weekend. Just a quick sidebar. That Bud Crawford Canelo fight was good, man. Did you catch any of that on Netflix or no?
No, I think I was. I don't know what time the fight started. Right, like those main events. They're like midnight, and
One thirty.
I think I had just caught the end of the Texas A&M Notre Dame game, and I turned the
So,
TV off and passed out.
yeah, no, I heard it. Yeah, the final, the main event didn't come on until it's like a 124 or something like that.
Yeah.
So goodness gracious, this really did go late. Netflix is up though, man, and they got another fight. One of the Paul brothers, whichever one box, he's gonna be here. He's gonna
They
fight
both
Tank,
do, but um,
the real boxer.
Jake is the one that's the serious or wants
Yeah,
to be taken serious in it.
but he's gonna be fighting at State Farm Arena, man. I was talking to Ant about maybe trying to get in the building there. That would be lit because I've never been to a legitimate boxing bout.
I have not either, and I hear it's uh quite the scene. So I wouldn't mind trying to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but to list out of school, so Kennesaw State won, Georgia State won, West Georgia won. Um, the second GSU, not the real one, Georgia Southern, they won their game, and Georgia Tech and UGA won. All 6 D1 schools won their games, won in quite dramatic fashion. It
Two.
had was it 2? Oh yeah, the Tech one too, right?
Yeah. I watched
So I
that.
didn't watch that one. I watched the Georgia game, and that was madness, bro.
So I watched all of the Georgia game. I watched probably half of the Georgia Tech game, the second half, the most exciting half. Um, I we haven't talked about it a lot in here, but I'm very high on Haynes King. I'm very high on Brent Key. Um, guy's name is escaping me right now, but the offensive coordinator for Georgia Tech is also got UGA ties. He was
Frankie have UGA tie?
no, Brent Key is a Georgia Tech alum. He's the Kirby of Georgia Tech. Although Brent Key, I'm pretty sure, was a lineman, whereas Kirby was a defensive back. Um, but either way, but Buster Faulkner is the OC of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. He was a analyst for the Dogs during the Todd Monken era, the two natties, and he left UGA for a promotion. So there's a lot of UGA faithful that would love to see him return to Athens that have a lot of high praise for him. And the current OC is a polarizing figure in the city of Athens, even though he was yeah, he was a former quarterback for the University of Georgia. Um, yeah, there's just a
Sometimes it ain't enough.
he's enemy number one if things don't go right. In on game day, so I watched the second half. I'm really high on this Georgia Tech team. I think they should compete and possibly win the ACC this year. And if they do so, they could very well find themselves in a playoff. Their style of football, I don't particularly care for. I mean, it's basically, the Haynes King run the power game
Yeah.
75% of the time, and the other 25% of the time he airs it out to a pretty decent efficiency. But that game came down to an end of the game field goal in which Georgia Tech's kicker makes it to, to create the upset, which I think it was the first time Georgia Tech's beat Clemson in quite a while.
Very long time.
And it was at home, so the students stormed the field, tore down the goalpost, marched it through Atlanta. I think I read something that they left the goalpost at the president's mansion in the pool or something.
I heard it was a river, like a man-made river, but yes, it looked like some type of fountains.
Yeah. So
Damn nerds, what are y'all doing, man?
I actually saw my neighbor send me a funny TikTok or Instagram reel where it's the tech students trying to get the goalpost out of the stadium, and it's like, how many engineers does it take to figure out how to get the goalpost out of the stadium? Because they're struggling. It's funny. But yeah, kudos to Tech. They're doing their thing right now. I don't know if Miami is on their schedule, but that is must watch TV if the two of those teams face off.
Yeah, I think we looked, and they are not. So that would be a meeting in the ACC championship if things go the way that Tech wants us to go. But just as interesting of a game now is going to be the clean old fashioned. Is it clean or good old fashioned hate? Clean old fashioned hate.
Good old fashioned hate.
Good old fashioned
Maybe
hate.
it's
That
clean. Good
game
old fashioned hate.
was it clean. Good old fashioned.
I don't know. There's nothing clean about that hatred.
Clean old fashioned hate.
clean,
Yeah, I mean you
clean old
can't say
fashioned.
hate and clean.
Yeah.
You do things to people that you hate that you wouldn't do that are very clean. Um, But I mean, I remember watching that game last year. I was reminded of that when I was talking to my father-in-law and Brittany over the weekend. Right, we were down in Orlando for Thanksgiving, and my brother-in-law, he is a Georgia Tech graduate. His wife graduated from UGA, and so we're sitting there watching the house divided, and that game was nuts. Right, that's gonna be probably the best ticket in the land. Like that game is coming up fast now, right?
And it's going to be
And
in the
now that they've
bins.
won, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that thing's gonna sell out and be crazy. It's gonna be a hot ticket, man. So that's something that I might start looking at.
So I may have misspoken on here about that situation. I can't recall if we talked about it or not, but Georgia Tech has a 10-year agreement with Mercedes Benz to play one game a year at the Benz, and
Mm.
this year it happens to be the UGA game because there's some sort of construction happening at Bobby Dodd Stadium at the end of the year. But they'll return next year to their home and home. So UGA actually benefits quite largely in this case because we played in Athens last year. We're not going to play at Bobby Dodd this year. We're going to play in Atlanta at the Benz, and then we're going to return to Athens next year. So they're
So
going
when
to,
we talked about it, you did think that it was gonna be a reoccurring game. So yeah, that's a good correction there to know. And yeah, that's I mean, Georgia's played a lot of games at the Bend, so it's not necessarily a home field advantage just because Bobby Dodd is around the corner.
yeah, no, geographically it may be close to Georgia Tech, but that will not be a Georgia Tech home game
It
by
will
the
not.
way the crowd shapes out. I can pretty much guarantee that. Now the other big game, right? Big rivalry, UGA versus Tennessee. Um, First conference game of the year for the Dogs, going on the road to Neyland, a very difficult place to play. Going in, I was not very confident after watching us kind of lackadaisically, at least it looked like, um, make our way through the Austin P game. Um, wasn't feeling very confident about the place our offensive line was in going into that game. Wasn't very confident in Gunnar Stockton standing in the pocket and throwing the ball downfield, as many of the national media also kind of echoed some of those concerns. Um, but we went into Neyland and we stole, and I mean, we stole like a bandit in the night, our ninth straight victory against the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, so I'm at the mall, right? I'm trying to get. We needed to get Grace some shoes. We hadn't been to the mall. Brittany wanted me to find a outfit for our upcoming trip, and I completely forgot that the game was even on at that point, right? And we're leaving. We're walking out of Macy's in the furniture section, and it's pretty dead. I'm like, where is everybody? And the staff, it was three people over there. They're all sitting in front of a TV, by this couch that they're selling, right? And the game is on. I'm like, oh man, I forgot the Georgia game is on. So I sat down. It was probably 5 minutes left in regulation, maybe a little more. But I sat down. I know I know I sat on the couch for like 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes, because college football is so slow as far as the clock is concerned. And I was like, oh man, Georgia's down 8 with 2 minutes to go. Man, this looks like they're gonna drop this one. We had previously been talking about bad kickers, obviously because of Koo and his situation. And up until that point, there have been other blown kicks. Just it was like the kicking bad kickers are an epidemic. They're everywhere. I think you said something to the effect that kickers haven't gotten worse. Is that we're mentally weaker. That to me means kickers have gotten worse. Whether it's physical talent or mental talent, kicking has gotten worse. Closers also fit that same bill. I won't dive into no baseball, but I'm gonna just add that. So for that kid to miss that kick, for number one, for Gunner, that throw that he did for that touchdown was a dime. He dropped that thing in the bucket. The 2 point conversion also solid. So I was like, okay, overtime, here we go. Right? No way he was gonna miss that kick. And he missed it, dog. And I was like, oh, and at this point, it's the three employees of Macy's. I hope I won't get them guys in trouble. And we had kind of started to form a crowd. Like this family stopped for a second, they kept it going, and then these two guys they sat there and finished regulation with us. So we had the damn furniture section of Macy's lit. My kids are running around, jumping on the couch, and all kinds of wild stuff, spinning in this chair. It was mayhem, man. But they pulled it out.
Yeah.
What a crazy game.
So that so you said Georgia got the ball down 8 with like 2.5 minutes to go. We marched down the field pretty effectively. We get close to the red area and we start to stall out. I think there was a blown or a potentially blown pass interference call on the play prior on third down. So it's fourth and 6, and we go for it. I mean, we have to, right? Like, you have to go for a touchdown. You're going to lose if you don't, especially the way Tennessee's offense had been playing the rest of the game. And so Gunner drops back, and when he releases that ball, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we just need 6. You just threw it up in the end zone. And then you see Humphreys just catch it, breadbasket, like falling to the ground in the end zone. And like, I was shook. I was like,
That
no
ball touched the 300 levels, though. It
freaking
was up there.
way he just made that throw. I thought he threw it away just from the initial release. I'm like, oh, you threw it away at a shot
Maybe he
play.
did. I don't know, though. The way it lined up seemed like he dropped it in the basket. But I completely agree. When it was in the air, because of how high it went, I was like, oh man, what is he doing?
But I've since heard many pundits say like this is what Russell Wilson does so well is you put it up in the air for your receiver to be able to go after it. You throw it on a rope, you have less chance of your receiver making the play on it.
Watching that Giants game instead of the Dream, and I saw him do it twice to
Yeah, yeah.
Malik. That
So,
was a wild finish too.
so there is, I think, some credence to that. Like, yes, he put some air on it so that his receiver had an opportunity to make the play, and he made it. And then we turn around and we convert the 2-point conversion. Beautiful play call to Zachariah Branch, easily our number one weapon offensively. Besides our like what feels like 12 deep running back stable, like they ran out there with at least 5 different running backs throughout that game, and we ran the ball extremely well, like traditional Georgia football. But yeah, we convert that 2-point conversion, and I'm like, oh man, there's like a minute and a half. It felt like those old New England Patriots games giving Tom Brady time. Like you just know he's gonna march them down the field. And I think defensively, just the way the game went, there was some nerves there, right? Like I legitimately was like, oh man, Tennessee has a great opportunity to win this game. And they converted some big plays on third down to keep the drive alive. They got into field goal range. And then Max Gilbert just pushes it right. And I was like, no way that just happened. Go to overtime. Tennessee gets the ball first. Defense makes a stop, forces the field goal. He makes the field goal in overtime. And then I think it took Georgia 3 plays. They ran a brand new running play they just installed recently. Been holding on to it. It's a pro style run play. Nate Frazier on the very first play takes it down to like the 4-yard line. And then 2 plays later, McCray pushes it into the end zone. After review, touchdown, game over, preserve. It has now been 3,269 days since the last time Tennessee beat the Georgia Bulldogs.
To come that close, man, it has been that long, bro. I know they hot, but yeah, go Dogs. There's a commercial or something going around now where it's like I don't know if I should have barked at my boss that's in there like a conference table.
Oh, yeah.
Said, "Go Dogs, sick 'em." Nah, man, that was a great game. I appreciate you getting me more aware of the things that were going on in college. Because I mean, I wouldn't catch a game. Well, I mean, there's been some very exciting NFL games this year. You know, the cardiac Falcons do not disappoint on most weeks. Um, but college football is exciting to watch. It's because of the errors that they make. There's just so much uncertainty of what's going to go down. So yeah, no, that was
There,
good.
there is a level of parity that exists because of the spread of talent, right? Like the talent level is not that of, the NFL.
Right.
And like you said, mistakes are made. And honestly, the stakes are higher, right? Like you can drop week 1 in the NFL and still win a Super Bowl. You can drop 3 or 4 games in the NFL and still win a Super Bowl. You're not sniffing the playoffs in college if you drop 4 games. Now that may
Yeah.
change with expansion in the future, but plus 2 lost teams did not make the playoffs last year. So the margin for error is so much lower in college to achieve a championship.
Are you an expansion guy?
I honestly haven't given it a whole lot of thought. I think it has the potential to diminish the regular season some. I already think the creation of the playoff has ruined championship games. Like you and I went to the SEC
Oh,
championship game last year. It was a good game. It was electric. It was exciting, but the meaning in that game was much smaller than it was 4 or 5 years ago. Where actually the year prior, Georgia only loses that game and doesn't make it into the 4-team playoff, right?
that was it.
And to me that was wrong. Like that was
You felt like they shouldn't Texas shouldn't have made it?
no. I felt like the year that Georgia lost in the
Lost to Alabama.
by a field goal and Georgia got held out of the playoffs, I felt like they were wronged in that because there are teams that don't have championship games that aren't penalized for not playing that week. You know what I mean? So like,
Like Notre Dame's.
yeah, you're better off not to play in the championship game and risk losing than to play in your conference title game, and that's just not the message I think college football or the conferences really want to create.
Yeah, well, it's not that anymore. I'm actually gonna question your point. So now, both teams that make it to the SEC championship, odds are they're gonna both make it to the playoff.
Correct.
But you said that the expansion decreases not validity, but
I said that the expansion decreases the importance
the meanings.
of regular season games and that the championship games have already taken a hit just from the increase of the playoff and really the birth of the playoffs.
But in the SEC, it just means more.
It does.
So you
And
want to win it.
Kirby still wants to win it for pride, and he says it all the time. Like it's hard to win a championship, and they'll take it. Um.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Let's do an official segment, man. Let's pivot to from the gridiron to the hardwood. You know you got to keep your eyes on the birds. Let's talk Hawks. Let's talk Falcons. This is hootie hoo. So we're gonna talk about the Falcons. I'm gonna try to not to be a negative Nancy, man, because I saw a lot of things that I liked. Um, so I'll get my negative stuff out up front.
Okay. I would have gone the opposite approach, but we can go bad first.
The offense, there was definitely good there, but the goal line situation, oh man, oh it had me quivering, man. It was reminiscent of the Mike Smith days where we just could not punch in touchdowns. trading field goals for touchdowns is a fast way to lose against most teams. A team that's not starting JJ McCarthy, we probably lost that game.
For
He
sure.
he gave us some stuff. And on the radio, I'm a I'm I'm somewhat of a fan of Mr. Squid Billy, and I called him an apologist when we were talking before we started recording. Right, he's a Falcons apologist, and I understand it. One, he travels with the team. He has meaningful relationships with the players, the management, the staff. He knows these people. So for him to just come out and blatantly diss him on this or that, not beneficial to him, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that he has said repeatedly over the last couple of weeks is like, you can't say that the play call was bad if you can't name the play that was being called. And I call bullshit on that. No, I can't name the play that was called. I can't. But there's something to the eye test that I think is real. If we're not getting into the red zone, that's an indication that something is wrong. I can't tell you specifically what it is, but it's something that needs to be addressed, and it has to do with the play calling. What do you think about that?
I agree with you, but for different reasons, right? Like, I don't think you have to be able to name the play to disagree with it because it's situational football. Like, there are plays in the Georgia game, there were plays in the Falcons game, specifically in the Falcons where we had success on third and short or fourth and short with Tyler Algier running the ball earlier in the drive. I do not like running that same play situationally the next situation, right? Like, I understand it was
Right.
successful for you the first 2, 3 times you ran it, but I'm not going to keep pressing my luck.
Variety
To
is the spice of life.
Variety is important. And so, like, no, I don't know what play was called, but I do not like running a run play in that situation when you've already done it. You've put that on tape multiple times in that same drive. Like, what is the defense going to do? They're going to think run first, especially when they see Tyler Algier out there and not number 7.
Right.
So I think it's the same point you make. No, I don't think we have to be able to name the play to disagree with the play call.
Or to criticize it. And I don't get why he won't, but to say that other people is it's not demeaning, but it's belittling the way that he says it. It's like
It's
you don't even
dismissive.
know what was called. How can you say that it was good or bad? It's like, no, man, it didn't work. Number one. Number two, I do, to your point, I recognized it from 2 plays ago. It's the exact same play, and it didn't work the first time we ran it. The other negative that I would say was more of a slight. Red zone was biggest thing. There was just a weird timeout that Raheem did. I don't know if it was before the half or towards the end of the game, but it was just off put. I was like, why did he call a timeout right there? Or maybe he let too much time go off. It was a indication of bad clock management in my mind, and that rubbed me the wrong way just because we had a couple of situations like that last year. So those are my bads, and that's my list.
Yeah, for me, I'm pretty much right on with you, except for the timeout situation because I don't know which instance you're referring to. Um, but the inability to get 7, I think I texted you early, which you didn't respond to. So you either didn't have your phone or you were deliberately ignoring me.
I did not have my phone.
um,
I,
but
I try to talk you off that bridge you like to climb on.
I like to air it out because I feel like if I talk about it at least live in the text, that we can come on here and actually talk through it rationally and not just emotionally. But
Yeah, I read what you said.
I think the very first one I said was it should be 14-0.
No, it was how do we look unprepared for the noise?
Oh yeah, because that
Then it should be 14-0.
okay. Yeah.
Offensive offensive execution isn't good. Not a fan of that third down call.
Yeah,
And these are four tags back to back to back to back.
but
I
they
saw that
weren't.
the next morning. I was like, oh man,
The timing on those were not uh r- like rapid
in rapid
fire. Yeah,
succession.
no, they were throughout the game. But the first one, what I was like, because we called a timeout early on our first drive, we called a timeout, and we genuinely looked unprepared for the noise. And I guess Michael Penix was having trouble getting the play call, like hearing the play call,
Yeah, yeah.
um, which they seemed to remedy. But early on in that game, like it cost us on that first drive. Like we should have had 7. We had 3 because we had multiple. Well, we had a timeout and we had
Time out
penalty
there. Delay
for
again.
delay a game. So that was there. We should have had 14 points on our first 2 drives. We
I agree.
so 100% the execution in the red area is a problem. Um, I think it's very interesting just looking at the offense from game to game. Game one, we didn't have much success running the ball, but we aired the ball out extremely well. Game two, it was the inverse, right? We didn't have a whole lot of success throwing the ball, but we had a tremendous amount of success running the ball. And I think when we can put those two together and have an actual balanced game, the sky's the limit, dog. Um, so that's my like negative but optimistic kind of spin on how I feel about that.
Yeah, I think so. I was at Carlos's for the fight party, and one of the other attendees was a Bucks fan, and we actually had some very good conversation. It was realistic fanhood. I wasn't saying we are gonna win a Super Bowl, which isn't impossible, right? But I'm a fan. I'm gonna shoot you straight. I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel, and if I say it, I do believe it. And I said we were gonna beat Minnesota. One, because I just don't believe, partially because of you, but also seeing his highlights from the first 3 quarters of the Bears game. I didn't believe in JJ McCarthy, but I feel like we remedy issues quickly. And we everything that we said in the episode last week, I tweeted it today. Like it came to fruition. What we needed to do in order to win the game. I said that to them too. I was like, look, if we can get after JJ McCarthy, we should win. Yours was if we can run the ball, we should win. And they did both of those,
I think
and we won.
I think we both said you gotta have better pass
Pass
rush
rush. Yeah.
and we gotta run the ball. But I think I threw in there that Michael Penix needed to just do what he did in game one. We needed to stay consistent there. And I'm not gonna put it all on him. But I don't think we quite executed there. I think if we had executed there, then we don't go 3.5, almost 4 quarters without a touchdown.
To me, I have another reason behind where I think the passing game was deficient. One, give credit to Minnesota. They were one of the top defenses last year. They're the top defense this year. I think they lost several players during the game, but they were missing, I believe, somebody on their defensive front to start the game. But two, Drake did not look anywhere near full health, and neither did Darnell Mooney. So we were relying on Kyle Pitts, who I will, give credit to where credit was due. It was 2 games in a row. It looked like he had, good effort in his play. So Michael Penix essentially didn't have anybody to throw to. And Raheem Morris had decided we were going to run the ball down their throats. I don't remember how many times we ran it, but we almost touched 200 yards.
I think it was plus 30 rushing attempts.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
It
going
was
to
at least
read.
30.
This is a different text group. Well, it's not even a group, it's just an individual.
Yeah.
Shout out Taylor. I know he listens. Um, but he said, defense and Parker saving this embarrassing offense. I said, it's the line. Can't pass protect. We are one dimensional. London doesn't look healthy.
Yeah, he did not look healthy. He was
Uh,
out there as bait.
for sure. He had some clutch catches, but you could just read his body language that he was laboring.
Yeah, sir, for sure.
Um, and I do think the offensive line had a lot to do with the inconsistency in the passing game because they were pressuring Michael Penix all night long.
Even in the run game, a lot of
It was Bijan Magic. Yeah.
yeah. Dijon was doing his thing more than the line was just mashing against the Vikings.
I would like to see Bijan in a ring with a bull and just watch
That,
that
that
man
bull's ankles is toe up. You juke the shit out of a bull.
over and over and over
He's like
again.
a jaguar, dog. Like poised, just the muscle and the reaction time. It doesn't make sense. They said that in the broadcast. Oh man, that was a. It wasn't a negative for the Falcons, so I won't include it on that list. But man, they were. I don't want to say get shadow banned and say the D word, right? But they was riding the Falcons hard. Tony Dungy and Rodney Harrison, who I never liked Rodney Harrison. I actually like the Nepo kid. He asked some challenging questions, which I appreciated. But literally before the game, everybody but Maria Taylor picked the Vikings. And there was, no telling them that the Falcons were going to win this at all. She's from here. She said, I mean, I got to go with the home team.
She's a dog.
Is she?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
150%. She's all
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah, but for how hard they was riding at the end of that game, it got disgusting. I was like, goodness gracious, we don't need no new fans, fellas. It was kind of crazy. Like Tony Dungy out there looking thirsty. Rodney Harrison was looking thirsty because I know he's a no hater. So I didn't like that.
I'm pretty sure Maria Taylor played sports for the University of Georgia. I was gonna look it up real quick. She attended Centennial High School in Roswell. Yeah, she was a basketball player.
Okay.
She played basketball and volleyball from 2005 to 2009. She was an All SEC volleyball team selection. So, yeah, shout out Maria
Centennial High
Taylor.
School, huh? All
Yeah,
right, that's
right around the
what's up.
corner. Yep,
Yeah, man. She a year older than us, so she was in school the same time we were.
yep. So,
That's crazy that it took, however many years for her to get that shine. I really do like watching women in sports, man. It's just I don't know.
so
It's not like a physical thing, right? That has an appeal, right? Just looking at a bunch of men, talking about the same points is like, all right. I mean, I can do that with my friends. There's not a whole lot of interest in that, but I think they bring something to the game, something fresh,
yeah.
right? And I appreciate that.
So Maria's been doing it for a long time now, but she's got her she's gotten opportunities in a lot more spaces now.
Sunday night football is a huge
Yeah,
deal.
no, it's
It's her
huge.
biggest job, and I feel like she was doing basketball before. I don't know that she was doing
She's
football.
done basketball. She's done college football. Um, she's been in the sports commentary, sports broadcast industry for a while. She's just been on a steady upward trajectory.
I remember her from NBA Countdown specifically.
Yeah. But yeah, shout out Maria Taylor. Like I said, UGA dog, DGD. Always holding it down for the home squad. You know.
Yeah, no, I'm with it. I'm with it. And she held it down, and she was the only one to pick us. So the rest of those guys can
Mhm.
can leave their picks in the trash. We don't need you, man. The
Yeah.
bandwagon application period has ended. Because I do think it's up. I know I was distraught last week. I was very frustrated with the way that game ended, just because of how reminiscent it was of the poor season and the way things ended last year, right? But I'm a different guy this week, man, and the offense didn't look that good. So let's talk about the good. There was a lot.
Yeah, running the ball, for sure, right? And then the one that we haven't talked about, you just kind of hit on it a little bit earlier with your statement that kickers are just worse these days.
Yeah.
Um, which I do.
Parker
I
Roma.
I agree with my statement, proving your point. I was just bringing to light what I think it is. Like it's not their physical ability that's diminished. I actually think physical ability for kickers has gotten better. I mean, we're out here booming 64-yard field goals, right? Like,
We did it, yeah, in
it,
that Giants game
yeah, that's crazy.
with ease. He had another 3-4 yards at least.
Yeah, for sure. That was good from 70. But I do think it's a mental thing. But we last week, Koo comes out, misses a field goal, kind of shaky on another, like maybe an extra point if I can recall. He missed 9 last year. I think we went through the statistics last week. He's like 70% from 44 yards and beyond, which is terrible for an NFL kicker making. I think his cap hits 5 million this year. Not to get in the man's pocket, but
He's
you
one of the
got,
highest paid
you,
in the league.
yeah, you're paid to do one thing, and that's kick the ball through the uprights, and you're not doing it very well. So we bring in Parker Romo,
Parker
a
Roma.
local kid as well from Georgia. Can't remember where he played ball at, but he is from here. Uh, Signs, has a tryout.
Peachtree City.
Peachtree City, that's right. Um, Tries out for the team. I guess has a good enough week at practice that they decide to leave Koo in Atlanta, maybe on the runway, um, like like
Please taken.
like USC did Lane Kiffin, just leave without him. But they take him up to Minnesota, and he goes 5 for 5. His first kick was a little shaky. May not have been good. May have been good. Refs thought it was good. It's
Over
questionable.
the upright. It was
Yeah.
high. Kick it high in there. Kick it high. You got a better shot.
But he got the job done, so that to me is a positive. Curious to see what this means going. I guess it's his job until it's not.
Right.
Um, so
I definitely think it's his job until it's not. And I don't know that we see Koo again. I mean, I think that would be upsetting for me still. Right? We saw somebody come out and do what they're supposed to do. He went 5 for 5. He won us the game. We scored an offensive touchdown very late. So it was a field goal game, and he did his job. That first one, to your point, was shaky, but the rest of them were solid. So shout out to John Parker Romo out of Peachtree City, Georgia. Um, we got to the quarterback finally, man. They kept pushing the numbers. I think we ended up at 6, but every time we got a sack, it was like we eclipsed a statistic from like 5 years ago. Then it was 10 years. By the last time, I think we did 5 sacks in the first half. I think they said the last time we did that was like 2012.
I think the number was 4 for the first half, but either way, 4 or 5. We haven't seen that in very many games. Period. Much less
Yeah, games.
halves. Yeah, it was really encouraging, and it wasn't just one guy, right? I called out 3 individuals specifically last week. It was Leonard Floyd, Jalen Walker, and James Pierce Jr., and all 3 got a sack. Started with James, went to Jalen, and then Leonard. And then we saw some from Brandon Dorlus, Ruka Rororo. I think Rook and James Pierce may have combined for a sack. Um, but yeah, it was coming from multiple places, which very encouraging.
They also played really good against the run, right? There were a lot of tackles in the backfield against the run, which, isn't a sack in the numbers. And I know that's what I wanted. I wanted the number of sacks. But that's super important and almost as valuable.
Yeah. I would say the other there was really two other rookies that really showed out. Um, Bowman, Billy
Billy
Bowman
Bowman Jr.
Jr.
Yeah,
and Xavier Watts once again had a great game. Uh,
he held on to this one this time.
yeah, Billy Bowman had a crazy interception. To me, he's a slot corner, but he
Mhm.
looks like he's built more like a linebacker.
Yeah.
He's got some size on him, like some thickness. Uh,
I didn't know Devon Diablo was formerly a safety. That's something they kept talking about on the broadcast too, because he played his ass off again too. I mean, that's a steal, right? I'm gonna say it again. Terry was cooking when he signed him because he looks like he's gonna be fire all season. He's everywhere, dog.
yeah, it's very encouraging signs from the defense that I watched some of the Tampa Bay game tonight against Houston. I think did Houston end up winning? I think Houston might have ended up pulling out the win. Um, but that's a very good Bucks team. Very good at running the ball specifically, and um,
Yeah, he
no,
definitely
the Bucks won. They ended up winning 20-19. So that is a very good Bucks team running the ball, and we held it down. Um, we did not let Bucky Irving and Rashad White get loose. So that's two games. I know that's still a pretty small sample size, but that's two games where we have a much improved run defense and overall defense. So excited to see how that develops throughout the rest of the season.
I know we went through our picks, so next week we have Washington,
Nope.
and is it not Washington? Oh, the
Carolina,
Panthers.
then Washington.
Carolina,
Did you
then
remember
Washington.
what you predicted?
Carolina is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I said we split with them.
You did.
Yeah.
But this one
S-
you have us dropping.
Yeah.
You sticking with that pick?
Hell no, man. Rise up, baby. Bryce Young looks like he's regressed again. So um we'll see how it goes. I mentioned Redskins. I know I had that as a win, and I still think that it is, but I want to make sure that the last part that we have buttoned up is rushing quarterbacks, right? Jaden Daniels can burn you with his feet and his arm, but with his feet too. So that's the still a point of concern. I didn't have high expectations for JJ getting out of there. You said he had some wheels, and I know he displayed that in the fourth quarter last week, but that's the true test to see what that defense is because Baker got off right. We did shut down Bucky and I forget the second guy.
Rashad White.
But yeah, but Baker won the game essentially with his legs.
He did in some pretty critical moments, right? Like he didn't just run rampant on us, but they were critical, like down and distance situations where he got loose. I will say I did see, your favorite Arnold Ebiketie lose contain a couple times, so that is my concern. I'm still sticking with the W in Carolina, um, but we need to contain Bryce Young.
Yeah.
If we can do that, if we can keep defending the run, then we will be in solid position to win that game. Offense definitely has to put together a more complete performance. So
I know they're considering benching him, but their pickup in the draft, McMillan, right? He's huge. He's like a DK almost, DK Metcalf. And he balled out. I played against him in fantasy. I wonder if I won. Not important right now. But we had players going tonight. He balled out, so that's somebody we had to worry about. No matter who's out there, Bucky, not Bucky, Red Rifle,
Chuba Hubbard.
Andy
Uh,
Dalton, or Bryce Young. Seems like Buddy's gonna eat.
oh, you talk yeah quarterback position.
Uh, Ter- Teterio, Teterio. McMillan. He went to Arizona, and I think he was the first wide receiver off the board.
Did you see Xavier Leggett's stat line?
I did not.
So he joined a very very rare company that had, I think it might have been 6 receptions to qualify, but he had 8 receptions for negative yardage, -2 yards
Did he really?
receiving. Yeah,
Gracious.
yeah. Very rare
Um,
that a receiver has more than 6 receptions uh, and has negative yardage.
I wonder if he tried to hit a Barry Sanders at one point and just lost like 20 yards.
I didn't watch the game or the highlights, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I'm not checking it either.
Yeah.
Uh, Panthers and Cardinals. Hey, what do you think? What do you think Haynes King is going to be in the league? Because to me, he's like a running back that can throw more than a quarterback that can run.
He he gives me very much Taysom Hill vibes.
Mm.
And so does Gunnar Stockton, to be completely honest. And
He don't run like Haynes King though.
I think Haynes King is I mean, Haynes King's bigger for one
Right.
than Gunnar Stockton, but the similar style of like just tough, like take absolute abuse. They almost get better the more you hit them. That kind of dog mentality. That was the parallel I was making between him and Gunnar. Um, I don't know how it translates to the NFL outside of like Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Gadget kind of guy. Or could he be like a fullback? Like a Mike Austin. Like he's 6'3",
Yeah,
215.
he's big.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh, we are coming real close on that. I think we surpassed the hour mark at this point. Um, so there was a question I kind of posed to you, still staying on the Falcons, but there were a lot of injuries that occurred over the weekend. Uh, specifically, well, one that hurt us, which we didn't really talk about. AJ Terrell went down in the second half with a hamstring injury. We're going to be watching that closely. I think D'Alford did well stepping in to that position. You also have Mike Hughes and Billy Bowman Jr. Holding it down for the corners. Um,
They changed the play call though, right? They went a lot more zone, and our sack numbers decreased a good bit.
yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact, if any, that has on the Carolina game. Um, but again, I'm sticking with my win prediction. But there were a lot of quarterback injuries. So since
Mhm.
last night, JJ McCarthy has actually been listed with an ankle injury. So Carson Wentz may be starting for Minnesota next week. Um, Justin Fields
Joe Burrow.
concussion. Joe Burrow is probably the biggest one. He's got a grade 3 turf toe. Going to have surgery. Going to miss 3 months. And I believe there was another big name quarterback that has some sort of ailment. But all that to say, we have a guy on our team that we talked about all off season that we felt would stay on this team until quarterbacks started going down and teams got desperate to save their season. And that's Kirk Cousins, um, highest paid backup in the league. There are teams, I think at this stage, the most viable is the Bengals. Um, do you think Kirk Cousins gets moved anytime soon?
If he does, I think it's to the Bengals. Uh, I don't know. It's really going to be dependent upon the offer, right? How much do you really want him? You going to take on some of this bread that we owe him, or what's that look like? So depending on how that shapes out will determine whether or not he gets out of here. Now, I do think the more quarterbacks that get injured, the more likely it is. I do still agree with that. but will he get traded to the Bengals? I told you one of my coworkers. He's a Cincinnati guy, and they've seen Jake Browning play for extended periods before. He feels like they're gonna keep Jake Browning again. The Bengals back up. The other player who got injured was Jaden Daniels.
That's right, a knee.
Yeah, so it says he's day to day. They got to start Marcus Mariota. Now I don't think he'll go to the Redskins because they have an offense that's designed for Jaden Daniels, somebody who can use their legs. They have some design runs, so he won't go there. Um, 49ers, I don't see it.
Oh yeah, also Brock Purdy, I forgot about.
Yeah, Brock Purdy went down. He was down before the game started. Mac Jones ended up playing pretty good, so they'll probably hold steady. And Tyrod Taylor fits a lot more to what you would design for Justin Fields than the Kirk Cousins would. So, of the teams that are there, if Carson Wentz is a bust, which I think Carson Wentz is a bum, um, maybe a great guy. I don't know, but his playing history, I don't think he's very good. If he ends up being a bust, and JJ McCarthy's injury is more serious than
Or if
they
he just
expected,
stinks.
yeah, they may trade for Kurt, try to get him back. I'm sure he would take that trade.
I think he would take that trade too. So Kurt has the right of refusal, right, on trades.
Yeah, no trade clause.
So if I'm looking at the situation in Cincinnati, if I'm Kurt, am I willing to go somewhere that's temporary, right? Like as soon as Joe Burrow is healthy, like I'm not starting, right?
Yeah, I think you do it because what is he gaining staying here? He needs that exposure to get another contract.
I can agree with that.
All right. So if you just have 1 year left, if you can get in for 6 games, 8 games, you take that opportunity just to show the league that you still got it and get somebody to pay you next year. He said he just wants to start. Right. I don't even think it needs to be a competitive team. He just wants to get out there and start. And then from there, his market is reset.
Yeah. I think he does want to be on a competitive team though. But if you're staring at sitting on the bench with no opportunity to an opportunity to showcase and play for your next contract, play for your next job, then you have to take that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Either that or you just, you know, decide that this is going to be the end of your career and maybe a couple years as a backup at a much lower pay rate.
Yeah.
And then you hang up the pads for good.
This is his last best chance to get another payday. Now he's well paid.
Very
Kirk
well.
Cousins' agent is the man. Like he done got him so much money, guaranteed money over the years. So I don't know. He's not lacking for dollars, but yeah, I'm sure he wants another shot at starting somewhere. He said as much. So I don't think he would push back on a trade to the Vikings. The one that keeps coming up just because of how sorry they are is my mind, and I don't want to trade him to the Saints.
Do you think Terry would do that?
I mean, he came from there.
I know that's the only reason why it's even a question in my mind.
He would do it to get something good in return, but I don't want to give them a solid quarterback. I want them to wallow in the mud.
You know,
Like they are.
there was a large contingency. I say large. I don't actually know the size, but there was a group of conspiracy theorists that said Terry was a sleeper agent for the Saints when he came over, um, intentionally sabotaging us.
Now that we're getting sacks, I even think that if the Falcons don't have success, but they maintain those numbers, like if we don't make the playoffs, he stays. He pulls a Dimitrov and stays to a second regime of head coaching. Now, I don't want that to happen.
Third regime.
Oh, he was on Arthur Smith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a very hamstrung organization. He wasn't really able to do anything but draft.
I don't think he had any say in the hiring of Arthur Smith either. They were both hired that year. So I think for that reason alone, he kind of gets a pass on the Arthur Smith um, decision. Right? That wasn't
And the
his.
players that he drafted during that time was, except for Kyle Pitts, more hits than misses, I think.
Yeah, I mean Kyle Pitts to this point is a miss, but he's definitely trending up as you alluded to earlier. So
Yeah, we'll see if he can continue it, man. I hope that he can, and I hope somebody pays him a lot of money next year. Just don't want it to be us. So I want him to have success somewhere. Ideally, not in division, but you know, it's just not a Falcon. But you can ride off with a Super Bowl ring, man. I ain't mad at him.
yeah, absolutely. No, you leave with a Super Bowl ring, and that's enough of a legacy around here.
Yeah, yeah, we'll love you forever. You can have as much Waffle House as you want, man. But you cannot don the red and black anymore. I
Appreciate your
want more than one.
services. We'll see you when we see
See you when I see it. Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
All
man.
right. Well,
It's always good to have these talks after a win, man. We'll see if we can keep that going.
absolutely. We talked, and I'll wrap it up with this. We talked about all the wins going on. There was one team that lost. That was Atlanta United, but the Braves did get a win this or multiple wins this weekend. I know Sunday there was a clean sweep between the Braves, the Falcons, and the Dream. And I say all this to say what a good weekend it was to be a fan of a sports team other than soccer in the state of Georgia over the weekend.
It's been a long summer, man, and spring. I'm glad to be reaching here, and I got high hopes for the Hawks too, man. So hopefully we just keep this moving. Shout out to the Dream. Let's go win it.
Yes,
The Dream is
sir.
real.
Rise up and sick 'em. Although we're on a bye this week, so sick 'em 2 weeks
Hey.
from now. Alabama in our house. Let's
Oh, it's a big game. Yeah.
let's get it.
Does it even feel as big? We don't need to dive into that. We can talk about it
We'll
next
talk
week,
about
man.
it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys when we see you. Appreciate the love, support. Smash that notification bell, hit that thumbs up, subscribe. It's free. Your subscriptions help us continue to do what we enjoy doing, and that is talk Atlanta sports. Sometimes talk politics, but not really.
Yeah. Come on, pay long. Give us that subscription, brother, if you haven't.
Yeah,
And
man.
you too. Let's go.
But leave us some comments. We'd love to hear what you have to say about Falcons. Give us your predictions. What do you think? Do you, do you think Kurt is on this roster at the end of the year? I'd like to know uh, what you think about that. But until next time, we love y'all. Peace.